What's on, guys? My job says I'm welcome to something new I'm doing on my channel called Listverse lists. Top 10s. So I go through Listverse and I go through lists, tables lists. So this one is 10 facts about Bermuda that are weirder than the triangle. Number 10. There was it. Also say this though. Bermuda was first discovered in 1505, but for years afterward, the Spanish and Portuguese sailors who passed islands weren't too keen to row ashore. They didn't fancy the chances against the treacherous reefs, but almost as frightening was strange sounds that emanated from the islands as dusk fell. It sounded like hundreds of babies screaming out in unison, and the superstitious sailors continued on their way to safer harbours. It didn't take long for stories to proliferate about the demons, sea monsters, and witches that haunted Bermuda. The howling infants were in fact cows, aka Bermuda petrels, an endemic species of seabird. They return every year from dense nesting colonies, and it recalls their way of attracting other birds of breed. They are thought to have once numbered over 500,000 birds. Unfortunately for the Kahoo in 1563, Spaniard Don Pedro Menendez de Avila plugged up the courage to sail into Bermuda while looking for his son, who had been shipwrecked. There's no sign of his missing air, but he left behind some hogs to help sustain rhythms for future shipwrecks. The hogs were an ecological disaster, wiping out most of the birds, bringing a bird back from the brink of extinction. In 1609, the Sea Venture was en route to Jamestown when it sailed into a storm, possibly a hurricane. The vessel, damaged and leaking, was deliberately ran aground on the reefs off Bermuda. Desperate explorers were delighted to find that Bermuda had been stocked with pigs since food was scarce in their temporary home. They also supplemented their pork diet with the remaining cows, where they built ships to sail on to Virginia. Since the birds avoided any mammalian predators, they were remarkably easy to catch and kill. The rats had jumped ship laid waste to more of the bird population. The birds were thought to have been extinct as a breeding species for 330 years, except for a handful of possible sightings. But in 1951, a scientific expedition went to the islets around Castle Harbour, where 7 little burrows were finally found. One of the expedition members was a schoolboy named David Wingate. Wingate was fascinated by the rediscovery of the Cahao, and after completing his degree, he wanted to save the species, creating a statue for the birds on Nonsuch Island, and working tirelessly to protect the Cahaos for 5 decades. After years of painstaking conservation work, there are now over 100 pairs of birds. They're still the second rarest seabird in the world. Number 8. You're only ever a mile away from the ocean. As previously mentioned, Bermuda is actually an archipelago made up of 7 main islands and a multitude of small islands. It's just 39 kilometers, 24 meters long, and has an average width of 1.6 kilometers per mile. From the air, it looks like a fissure, but on the ground you don't notice the individual islands, much because of the bridges making them seem to go. You can see the ocean from almost any vantage point. The highest point in Bermuda is just 6 kilometers, 212 feet above sea level, and no more than 1.6 kilometers. No more than a 1.6 kilometer, 1 meter walk will bring you within total distance of the deep blue. Since the islands comprise just 54 square kilometers, 21 miles squared, but have a population of around 6,000. The government has had to be draconian to prevent traffic gridlock. Residents are only allowed by one car, and tourists can't rent cars. There's things I say too. So they're only allowed to buy one car, and tourists can't rent cars. They have to use the bus. Bermuda inspired everyone from Sir Walter Raleigh to William Shakespeare. The first person to write about Bermuda was Gonzalo Fernandez, who described the island's flying fishes and fowls, good mews and cormorants in 1515. The adventurous Sir Walter Raleigh followed up with talk of its head of sea of thunder, lightning, and storms, though there remained a source of inspiration with poet John Donne popping into a 1597 sonnet called Storm. Compared to these storms, that is but a calm, hell somewhat lightsome, the Bermuda's calm. But Bermuda hit the heavyweight literature headlines when Shakespeare used the islands as a template for The Tempest. His imaginary film might have been based in the Mediterranean, but is filled with pigs, noisy birds, and a drink made of cider berries. Early settlers were reduced to making their crown whatever they could get hands on, and Bermuda had a lot of cedar trees. Shakespeare's island could only really be Bermuda. The bard might have only imagined the island, but Irish poet Thomas Moore set fun in 1804 and wrote, "Oh, could you be the scenery there, that now beneath my window lies." When Americans might be more familiar with Mark Twain's musings on the Isle, he published regularly in the Atlantic Monthly and helped to make Bermuda a tourist destination. Eugene O'Neill, Noel Coward, and Rudyard Kipling all passed through too, drawing inspiration from the islands as they went. One of the most influential books from Bermuda was narrated by Mary Price, a slave. The history of Mary Price helped to end slavery in the British Empire. Bermuda had no human inhabitants. There are no native people on Bermuda, so the wreck of the sea venture marked the beginning of human colonization. However, most of the settlers left as soon as they had cobbled some new ships there. Just 3 stayed behind. The founding of Bermuda is commemorated in its flag, only one in the world to depict a sinking ship. In 1612, the founders were supplemented with a new population when a ship called the Plough arrived with the express intention of settling Bermuda. Over time, new settlers began to check in, particularly the Portuguese from the Azores. African slaves came too. Slavery was only outlawed in 1833, and so did a surprising number of Native Americans exiled to Bermuda or sold as slaves. That mixture of cultures created some deeply rooted traditions, from the Gombe's dance troupe with their colorful costumes to spicy gingerbread, dark and stormy's a Roman ginger beer cocktail that packs a spicy punch, and codfish for breakfast. St. George's remains the oldest continuously inhabited English town in the Americas. Bermuda itself is still a British overseas territory. Life was not easy for early settlers. Finding water has always been a challenge. There are no rivers and only a few wetlands and seasonal ponds. Even today, Bermudians have no municipal water systems. Instead, they collect water using the specially designed white roofs on their houses, which channel water into underground tanks. If they run out of water or their tank gets contaminated, they pay heavily to bring water in. Number 5. Bermuda is the shipwreck capital of the world. Bermuda is formed from an extinct volcanic mountain range topped off with limestone. As a result, it has miles of fringing reef in every direction, like just below the surface. This extensive reef, combined with regular and forceful storms, results in the perfect conditions for shipwrecks. There were over 30 in the vicinity of Bermuda before 1600. To date, more than 300 wrecks have been found. The largest is the Cristobal Colon luxury liner, which was wrecked in 16 meters, 52 feet of water in 1936, and it's a fascinating place to dive. If you're not a diver, you can snorkel several sites. The Constellation and the Montana were both wrecked in western blue cuts. The former was a wooden schooner which crashed into the reef in 1943 while heading to Bermuda for repairs, spilling her cargo of cement, whiskey, and medical supplies, including thousands of ampoules of morphine, into the water, where they still lie at about 7.6 meters, 25 feet. The Montana was an efficient paddle steamboat that met her end on her maiden voyage in 1863 after missing an easy approach to St. George's Harbour and trying to take a shortcut through the reef. She was meant to be a Civil War blockade runner that had several aliases to try and confuse the enemy. The Lartington is also close by. It sank in 1879. Since the wrecks are not in especially deep water, it's possible to see them when you're snorkeling. You need to take a tall boat to get out there, but there are plenty of companies offering excursions. Number 4. New Year's is celebrated with an onion. Bermuda is used to export onions and autumn. The islands were famous for growing some of the best in the world. And in the late 19th century, the trade was booming, with the vegetable becoming not just a staple but a cash crop. Traded with the US and UK, the word onion came to be synonymous with something super cool on islands. Predictably, US growers quickly got wise. They planted their own onions, marked them as Bermuda onions, and sold them minus the expensive costs of shipping. By 1923, exports had dropped from 153,000 crates at the peak to over 21,000 annually, as the Bermudian farmers were in the cut. Still, the legend of the onion lives on at New Year's, where upon the stroke of midnight, a giant onion fully decked out in lights and topped with palm tree fronds is dropped from the town hall in St. George's Town Square. If a Bermudian can't make it to the St. George's celebrations, they will rifle the refrigerator on December 31st to reenact this tradition with a real, albeit smaller, onion. Bermuda has a worm that glows when it gets hot. The Bermuda fireworm is unremarkable during the day. It is small, reddish, and covered in little bristles that sting if you touch them. When it gets revved up, however, something remarkable happens. In the summer months, on the third night after the full moon, 56 minutes after sunset, yes, it really is that exact, the worms go bonkers. Female start swimming up from the bottom of the sea, ready to mate and literally glowing with passion. Their bioluminescence switch is set to max in a bid to attract a mate. Soon enough, the males hurry over to join the ladies' neon circles, making the ocean spark with green light. If you want to check out, try Ferry Reach Park. Introductions haven't gone well here. Humans. There is nothing that can stop them messing up a perfectly good ecosystem. Before the arrival of man, a forest of endemic trees and mangroves line the coasts of Bermuda. To Gahal, the Bermuda skink, and a host of unique invertebrates also called the island's home. The pigs and then the humans and the rats that came with them played havoc on wildlife, and multiple species quickly went extinct. The situation wasn't helped when people decided to introduce species to control other creatures. The great Kiskadee was brought in to control analyst lizards in 1957. It didn't work, and the Kiskadee went on to threaten native bird species including the white-eyed vireal and the native bluebird. The birds also spread the seeds of invasive plants and are suspected of extirpating the Bermuda cicada. People also introduced sparrows and stones since they reminded them of home. Almost a quarter of the worst invasive species in the world live in Bermuda, including the red-eared slider terrapin, kudzu vine, and Brazilian pepper tree. And finally, number 1, Bermuda is not in the Caribbean. Really, it's not. Everyone thinks Bermuda is just a stone's throw from Jamaica or Cuba, but in fact it's much further northeast. It's at roughly the same latitude as Charleston, South Carolina, and is over 1,200 kilometers, 750 miles from the nearest Caribbean islands, the Bahamas. It's actually closer to North Carolina's Cape Hatteras than it is to the Caribbean. Bermuda stays warm due to the Gulf Stream and has the northernmost coral reefs in the Atlantic. There you guys go, that was the top 10. Let's go to it. There you go guys, that was the top 10 facts about Bermuda that are weirder than the triangle. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my second channel. Click the notifications bell so you know when videos come up. If you notice other videos, that keeps happening. And peace.